rapid reaction of UFC 281, Adesanya versus Pereira. What can I say? Let's start with the main event because that's what everybody's going to be talking about. We had not one but two title changes tonight. Alex Pereira finished Israel Adesanya via TKO in round number 5. Stood him down, barrage of punches, tagged him with an uppercut. Throughout the whole fight, Pereira seemed dangerous, kept coming forward, kept putting the pressure. Izzy had his back a lot against the cage and everything, and he was doing all right. And this fight just went all over the place because Pereira looked good in round 1, and then at the end of round 1, he got staggered and almost finished by Izzy. And if that fight was maybe 5 seconds longer, we wouldn't be having this conversation about a new champion. Round 2, he looked pretty good. Round 3, Izzy started pouring it on with the grappling. Izzy actually got a freaking takedown. Yes, Israel Adesanya got his first takedown in his illustrious MMA career. And heading into round number 5, I mean, Pereira looked kind of tired. Looked kind of beat. I wouldn't say he looked as bad as like Leon Edwards as far as like body language before Leon Edwards made that amazing comeback. But he did look tired. But what I liked about his corner, and that included Glover Teixeira, they said, yo, man, you got to get a finish here. It's round number 5. You got 5 minutes to be a champion. This was Israel Adesanya's fight to lose. And once again, throughout the entire fight, even when Izzy tried to tie him up and grapple him and used a pretty damn good strategy, Pereira just kept coming forward, kept pressing forward, kept putting on the action. And the crazy thing is, too, there was a moment, I think it was also in round number 5. So much stuff happened tonight, I can't remember. But there was a moment where Pereira checked a leg kick, and it looked like Izzy was hurt, and he did like a backwards roll. And I was like, oh my God, did this guy break his leg or something? But he was okay for the moment. But man, if you're not familiar with Alex Pereira, man, I know they said this was only like his 5th MMA fight. I think officially this was like his 7th MMA fight because he had a couple of fights in Brazil, jungle fights and all that jazz for that promotion. But this is what, like his 3rd or 4th UFC fight? Okay, this dude's 35 years old. 6 to 7 fights into his MMA career. He is a world champion in the top organization. Just finished one of the best middleweights of all time. A guy who, by the way, in kickboxing, he beat not once but twice. I had a friend just text me before that said, man, you know, Pereira owns Izzy like John Jones owns DC. I thought that was a little harsh, but sometimes you just face guys that have your number. You know, it's like Joanna Jacek and Shevchenko. They fought in other sports, and then they fight in MMA, and Shevchenko was just a better fighter. And wow, I mean, look, I think they'll do an immediate rematch. If I were Izzy, I'd want to wait a little bit. You know, I don't want to say get a tune-up fight, but I don't know. It's just, even though he was winning the fight, and he did look really good, and if he just had survived that round, he probably would have won that fight, or if round 1 was a few seconds longer, he would have won that fight. I don't know. Maybe this guy needs a little bit of a break for the moment, but that was just, wow. That was crazy. We also had in the co-main event, Zhang Weili and Carla Esparza. That fight was only like 6-7 minutes and way better than the Namajunas and Esparza fight. And Zhang Weili got the win, regained the strawweight championship via rear naked choke. But look, Carla Esparza, nothing to be ashamed of. That last fight, I'm sorry, was garbage that she was in. I'm glad she won the title. Good for her. Happy for her and all that jazz. I think she got married after that too. But much better showing here, even in a loss. And, well, yeah, Zhang Weili's back on top, and we'll see what happens. But I see some people hating on Weili. If you don't like Weili, something's wrong with you. She's awesome, and she looked badass there. What some people might call, you know, the fan favorite fight, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler. I mean, my goodness gracious. I mean, both guys looked freaking great. Michael Chandler, similar to Pereira, almost got finished at the end of round number 1, but only he was like really bloodied up, and his nose was leaking and everything else, although Adesanya was kind of leaking afterwards when he got finished too. But I'm just saying, like, but Chandler survived. And in round number 2, took Poirier down, had him in trouble, looking good. Although replays showed that Chandler was fish hooking. And hey, I got a lot of respect for Chandler in his career, but that's not cool, man. And I know you're in the moment trying to get that rear naked choke, but that's not cool. And in round number 3, Poirier came back, got the rear naked choke for the win. There were so many freaking finishes on this card. It was insane. I strongly recommend everybody checking out the prelims. Poor Dominick Reyes got knocked the hell out by Ryan Spann. Oof, that was rough as well. Dan Hooker got the win via TKO, body kick, in round number 2. And probably the most heartbreaking fight, although I'm sure some Israel Adesanya fans are heartbroken. Chris Gutierrez finished Frankie Edgar, knocked him out with the knee in round number 1. Frankie Edgar's retirement fight. He's taken a lot of damage in his career. This guy has been fighting in the UFC since 2007. He's been fighting since, what, like 05, 06. He's been doing his damn thing, was a damn good wrestler back in the day in college, and became a legendary fighter. And, wow, I mean, I just remember New Year's Eve, or New Year's Day, I believe. It was 2011, that Gray Maynard fight. Absolutely incredible. You can make the argument he also beat Ben Henderson in their first encounter, but former world champion, close to being a world champion again throughout his career. One of those guys kind of like dry favorite, even after he was world champion. Maybe he didn't get that elusive belt again. He still always kind of hung around in there, was very popular with the fans. And yeah, the fans loved him. They still love him. And it's just unfortunate the way he goes out, especially, with some brain damage there. But I wish him the very best in his post-UFC career. Hopefully he doesn't fight again. I know there's like a recurring theme of guys like going into boxing and this and that. I really hope he doesn't fight again, because he's one of the most durable fighters of all time. And, as we saw, Father Time catches up with everybody. And frankly, he wasn't ever the same after that Brian Ortega fight. But wow, overall, what can I say? Massive thumbs up. And next month, we got Procházka versus Glover Teixeira 2 in a rematch of maybe the greatest light heavyweight fight of all time. And man, I mean, you talk about a fight that had so many twists and turns. I mean, Glover Teixeira, if he hadn't gone for that takedown, if he had just gone for the finish in round number 5 as far as like on the feet, he probably would have still been the world champion. So I'm so looking forward to that fight. Although, as I mentioned, Father Time catches up with everybody. And while that fight was only a few months ago, that fight took a lot out of both men. And Glover Teixeira is in his 40s, and while he is the coolest UFC dad on earth, he is the older guy. So we will see what happens. But folks, I want to hear from you. What do you think about UFC 281? What do you think about UFC 282 closing out the year? Let me know. Leave a comment below if you enjoyed this update. Like, share. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more updates like this. We'll be having coverage of the remaining MMA events the rest of the year. Hard to believe it's already mid-November, but we got some Bellator and One Championship coverage coming up. And, of course, as I mentioned, UFC 282. But until next time, everybody, as always, enjoy the fights. Congrats to the new champs. Wow. Izzy, no shame, but damn, man. That was rough.